Bright suns, everybody, like they say at the Black Spire Outpost on Batuu. I'm Eric Walker for All for Sci-Fi, and we're here yet again for another review of The Mandalorian. Today we're talking about Chapter 7, The Reckoning. And as always, before we get into any spoilers, I'll put a little title right here that says Spoilers. And that'll warn you, just in case you haven't seen the episode, to go ahead and hit pause, and then you can come back and watch the rest of the review. Again, at first, I'm not going to give you any spoilers. We're just going to talk a little bit about general overview of the episode. I'm going to give the All for Sci-Fi rating of this week's episode. And then that's... Wait a minute. I see a Sith trooper here and Kylo Ren. What's going on here? Where am I at? Wait a minute. I'm not where I'm normally at. I'm at Order 66 Toys in Dallas, Texas. What's going on here? This is a crossover event. Where's Bobbypedia? Bobby, where are you? Oh, there he is. Hey, Bobby. Bobby's joining us, and we're going to talk a little bit about The Mandalorian.
Right, episode 7.
Episode 7.
It came out today.
It came out, and it came out early.
It did. And that's because they wanted, the release date of Rise of Skywalker was set for Friday, so
that's
they
right.
didn't want to double stack it on the same day. They want people to go to Rise of Skywalker on Friday and still watch The Mandalorian. So
that's true, and they also had a sneak peek of the Rise of Skywalker as well.
They did. They showed
which
a
was
very
cool.
brief clip plus a little bit of teaser footage.
And that was cool.
Trailer format.
That was
very entertaining. I thought.
That was entertaining, but we, as we get into this though, we're going to just talk about a general overview real quick and give a quick rating. Then we'll get into a full breakdown. This week's episode, Bobby, was incredible. It was
very good.
Yes.
Personally, this was the episode I was looking forward to the most.
Okay.
Pre-production, pre-release, well not pre-production, but pre-release of The Mandalorian with all the interviews, all the little bit of trailer footage we got.
Right.
There was a character they showed off, an actor specifically by the name of Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, right. Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Yes.
And when I found out not only was he an Imperial based off of the trailer, but also a Moff later on in an interview before the show came out,
right.
I was very excited and couldn't wait to see him on screen.
Correct. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and give it our All for Sci-Fi rating. At All for Sci-Fi, we have 0 to 5 stars. If it's 3 or below, you don't have to go in the movies or watch it or stream it on television. This episode, I'm going to give it 5 stars. It gets 5 stars. I've already given this series already 2 other 5 stars. This is the 3rd episode of 7 that they've gotten 5 stars from me. What do you think? What would you give it?
I'd give it 5 as well.
Okay.
Mostly because of the anticipation behind it, but how nicely they went back and acknowledged everything else from previously in the series.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We got to see that him journeying from planet to planet up to episode 7 after the events of episode 3 weren't quite just because.
Okay, that's true. And now we're going to go ahead and start getting into a full breakdown of the episode. So if you see the title come up here, spoilers. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and hit pause, come back later and join us for the rest of this review. As he started to mention, this particular episode, the one thing that I like about this Mandalorian is it's continuing a story arc, a storyline. It doesn't jump around, and of course it takes place after the last episode, which also was a great episode. It was very different than the rest of them, but it takes place and suddenly the Mandalorian is getting a call.
Right.
He gets a call from, guess who's popping up? Grief Karga. Yep. Carl Weathers is back.
Carl Weathers is back.
Love it. So he gives a call to the Mandalorian telling him that since he's left, first of all he says, "You might be surprised, Mando, but I'm not dead," or whatever he says. And then he goes to tell the Mandalorian that all hell is breaking loose after he shot up the place.
On Navarro.
On Navarro.
Right.
And Bobbypedia. All hell is broken loose, and now the client has got all these Imperial. It's full of Imperials, and they're wrecking up the place, and he needs help. He has a scheme to get rid of them, and he wants to use the kid as bait. He wants to use the kid, the Baby Yoda, as bait. And he says to the Mandalorian that you're always going to be hiding. And if we don't kill the client, they're always going to come after you. And you're never going to get out of this. So by saying that, he says just the right things to convince him, I need to do something. But before he does that, as you mentioned earlier, he goes to the last planet where he was with Cara Dune's character, and he enlists her and says, and she has this really great scene in the bar cantina area.
Having a bar fight.
Well, it's great. Yeah.
Not necessarily a regular bar fight.
What do they call it? Is there a name for that?
I'm not sure if there is, but it's a fighting match. It's a sports fight.
It's a sports fight, yeah. And it was really neat the way they covered it, and she kicked all kinds of butt and won, of course. And then the Mandalorian shows up and says, "You're looking for work?" And she's not interested until he says one thing, which is
the target's Imperial.
The targets are Imperials.
Yep.
So
and then she was like, "I'm in."
I'm in. And that's all. That's that's all she needed to hear. You know, the one thing I find in this episode is that sometimes you just need to hear something, like one word or one phrase that's funny, and some lines.
You just need that one thing to make it worth your while, because she wasn't interested in the money.
Right.
She wasn't interested in leaving her home.
Exactly.
And drawing attention to herself, because she even said that. Not only would whatever's left of the not necessarily the Empire, but she was worried about the New Republic coming down on her.
Exactly.
Most likely for war crimes. As a Rebel Alliance shock trooper.
Right.
So
exactly.
Being a Black Ops Special Forces trooper, she probably did some not so great things.
Of course she did.
In her fight with the Empire.
Of course she did. So anyway, they take off, and then they go back to where he found the kid. Yep. The child, and he tries to talk to Quill. And in this episode, they say his name for the first time.
Right, which was Quill.
And I didn't know how to pronounce it. I kept saying it wrong. I'm terrible with names, by the way. Terrible.
It's either Quill or Queel.
I think the last one. It's in between, but it's the last one you just said. Yeah, it's Quill.
Quill. And he is an Ugnaught.
And he's an Ugnaught. He says, yeah, because the Mandalorian's calling him an Ugnaught and says, I got a name, so.
Right.
Okay, so he agrees to go ahead and go as long as he lets him bring the blurgs.
The blurgs and his new servant, helper droid.
We almost completely forgot about that. As they're sitting in there and he's trying to talk to him about coming, in comes IG-11 serving tea, and they jump up and they get their blasters going because they think that he's going to shoot him or something. Right. And I don't think the Mandalorian's buying it, though. He doesn't think that he had some silent stares for a moment. He did. More than one, at least two silent stares. Yeah. Before he would react, and then later on, of course, we're going to get to the next part. Yeah, with IG-11. Right, and then it shows how Quill found him. After Mando shot him and he was laying dead, and how he fixed him and he reprogrammed him to be a servant, his servant. Not only that, but now IG-11 is like a child, and even Taika Waititi, not only director of one of the episodes, but the actor who portrays IG-11, at least in voice. He's directing one of the episodes? He's supposed to be. Okay, maybe not this season, but maybe next season? Supposedly it was season 1. I think it's actually the next one. Is it? Oh, great. We're going to get IG-11, the guy who does the voice of IG-11 is going to direct I think Bobby thinks it's the final episode. We'll find out. Final one. I know that in season 2, that Carl Weathers, one of the reasons why Carl Weathers agreed to do this is so he could direct some episodes. So Carl Weathers is directing some episodes in season 2. Well, Taika said in an earlier interview before the show came out that the character for IG-11 was going to be childlike in nature. Okay. So we didn't really see a whole lot of that in the first episode. In fact, that's a good point. At all. But now, when we see the scenes where Quill's talking about his fixing of IG-11 and trying to help him learn how to work again. We do start to see that again, and I feel like once he starts talking in the 8th episode, because I'm sure we'll see him, we'll get more of that as well. And I think that he also briefly mentioned maybe reprogramming him to be a nursing
He said
nursing.
Mandalorian joked, why don't you reprogram him for nursing? No, he didn't joke about it. He said
he could reprogram.
He could do it.
Right.
But
He
doesn't want anything to do with IG-11.
Yeah, the Mandalorian, I don't know what happened to him and with some droids. It's going to be explained, but he's got a thing for droids.
You saw the flashbacks in the first and third episode.
I didn't pay too close attention. Were those droids or something that did something to him?
Those were super battle droids from the Separatist Alliance.
I didn't even think about that.
Droids murdered his parents.
That's okay. I get it now. Boy, he pays attention to every single little detail, which is great.
The main reason why he hates them, and a lot of people hated droids after the events of the Clone Wars. It's the same reason in Episode 4, A New Hope, when Luke and Obi-Wan walk into the cantina, the bartender says no droids. Right, that's true. It's the same thing.
Correct.
A lot of people just had bad feelings with droids after the events of the Clone Wars because, well, many people were oppressed by the droid.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Okay, so he agrees to go with him, so they take off. They go back to Navarra. Is that what the correct? Navarro. So they go back to Navarro, and they get on after they land. They get on the blurgs, and they come out and they meet Grief Karga with I think it's 3 bounty hunters. Do we know the names of those 3?
Nope. Yeah. Not to my knowledge. One was a Nikto, and I didn't recognize the other 2.
We don't know the names yet. We do know that this weekend at Order 66 Toys, one of the bounty hunters, Gecko, in episodes 1 and 3, are going to be here with us.
I didn't see him in 7.
You didn't see him in 7. We'll have to ask him. We didn't see him in 7. So we'll have to ask you, Dominic, when you come out. This weekend at Order 66 Toys, there's going to be 6 Star Wars actors here. Myself, Eric Walker, Mace Tawani.
You're going to be there?
Well, I'm here now, actually.
You're going to sign with us?
Yeah, I'm here to sign.
That's fantastic. Do you think I can get one?
Oh, come on, Bobby. You know you got one. You're going to get one. He's hamming it up. He's good. But not only just myself, but we're also Dominic Pace, who we just mentioned from the Mandalorian, is going to be here. Mike Quinn, who is Nine Numb in The Rise of Skywalker. Now that I know how to pronounce the name, I always said it incorrectly. It's 9, like the number 9.
Right. A lot of people used
to call him Neen Numb. I did. I used to.
Yeah, and it makes sense because you're just trying to sound it out.
Have you ever asked Mike how to pronounce it? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And he says it like that. Okay.
Because on the call sheet it was originally Alien Number 9.
Oh, that's great.
So they let him name the character. I think is how the story went with him.
Oh.
Last I talked to him, and
that's a great story.
Nine Numb is the first word is just the letters switched up on the.
So you heard it here. If you haven't heard the story already. Nine Numb from The Rise of Skywalker, also the Rise of the Resistance ride coming up.
Episodes 7, 8, and 6.
And also Return of the Jedi. He's been in everything. Mr. Mike Quinn is going to be here signing. Also, Mark Dotson, who was the voice of Salacious Crumb. Teak in the Ewoks of Battle for Endor. The little Teak that used to run around really quick. Also, he was the voice of a lot of the Gremlins. And Felix Silla, who was the hang glider Ewok in Return of the Jedi, also Cousin It, and Stephen Constantino, who was a Gamorrean guard.
On the sail barge.
On the sail barge in Return of the Jedi. All 6 of us are going to be here. So come out. If you're in the Dallas area, anywhere near Dallas, Texas, even if you're 100 miles away, or you live in Fort Worth or anywhere, come on out to Order 66 Toys. It's at 123 Fairview Station. Parkway. Fairview Station, 123 Fairview Station Parkway, Fairview, Texas. Come on out. We're next to the Dillards here as well.
And Lens Crafters.
And Lens Crafters as well.
That's how most people find us, as Lens Crafters.
Lens Crafters. Okay, so come on out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after you see The Rise of Skywalker and come and get an autograph from one of us. So they are there, and they come out of they're there on the blurgs. The Mandalorian, Quill, Cara Dune they're on the blurgs, and of course the kid, the child, is inside of his. I think Quill made a more comfortable one for him too.
Yeah, a new pod.
He fabricated a new pod for him, which was great. And another really. It's not funny that this happened, but there's some really funny bits with the child, like when they're driving over there, the child tries to drive he tries to drive the Razor Crest. He grabs the stick
and starts. You see him just like swinging on it.
Yeah. He's like, woo, woo. He's trying to drive the Star Cruiser. It's funny. And he's also trying to push buttons afterwards again.
And the other thing he did was, so while they were on their way to the barrow.
You're going to say what go ahead, say it.
Oh, okay. The Mandalorian and Cara are arm wrestling.
Right.
And
he thinks
clearly at a stalemate.
Right, and he thinks Cara Dune is trying to do something to his dad.
Right. So you can see that he starts to use the Force on her. And
right.
At first, when you're watching, I was thinking at least,
right.
Oh, he's gonna help pull her arm.
That's what I thought.
But instead, he was actually Force choking her.
He was doing the Darth Vader Force choke. Right. And he the child almost killed Cara Dune, and Mandalorian jumped up and said, "No, she's nice, like she's not hurting me."
Stop it. Yep.
So I guess as a child you're so innocent, but he still has a little bit of dark side in him.
Everybody does, I'm sure.
I guess even the child. Okay. Anyway, so they brought the child back, and they're there. So they talk about what they're going to do, the mission to kill the client and get rid of all these Imperials. So they end up camping for the night, and I saw, as they're camping overnight, we see another creature from Ewoks: A Battle for Endor come in. And it's the flying creature that grabbed Sindel and took flying off with her. So thank you again, Mr. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. You keep using more and more Ewok adventure, Ewoks: A Battle for Endor characters. I'm pretty sure it's the same one, and that's where they got the idea. You remember that? When Sindel, in the second movie, where the Condor thing, whatever.
I thought that was the first one.
No, it's in the second one where it captures Sindel and Wicket has to save her. It's in the second one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So using those flying pterodactyls or whatever they were, those are from the Ewok movies. So and one of them ends up really injuring Greef Karga.
Right.
Really, really bad. Maybe even deadly because it's poison.
Venomous.
Venomous, yeah.
Venomous, right. The claws on it, at least, were either the claws or a bite, but they weren't biting people. It looked like they were just trying to pick them up.
That's true. So it's probably that, yeah.
It looks like it has venomous talons, and
right.
You can see it gashed his right arm really good.
So they're trying to stop the poison from going up, and they're not winning the battle. So the child, I call it the kid. I call it the kid because the Mandalorian keeps calling it the kid, by the way.
Sure.
Some people call it the child. Some people call it Baby Yoda. But I'm not going to walk around calling that thing a baby all the time. It's 50 years old. So he comes up and he starts to use the Force, and he gets the poison to stop and come out of him. So he basically saves his life.
And heals the wound.
And heals the wound. So the next morning, as they're walking to town, Greef Karga walks ahead of them and says, "I guess this is it." And he turns around, and you think he's going to shoot the Mandalorian and Cara Dune and take the baby, but he shoots his own bounty hunters.
Right.
And says that, "Stop. The plan was we were going to kill you all and take the baby, but I changed my mind thanks to the child saving him."
Life. Yeah.
So his heart was changed, and that was a beautiful moment to see him, do that. So they don't want to take the child back with them because they're too fearful of what could happen. So they send Quill back with the child to the Razor Crest, and they're going to take the pod that he's in all the time. They're going to close it and pretend like the child's in there. So they go to talk with the client, and as they're walking in there, they're finding out that Greef Karga really undersold what was happening. He tried to tell them there's only 4 Imperials there, and there's like all these troops there, whole legions of them. And they get in there, and as they're negotiating, as they're at the table and they're negotiating everything, he wants to see the baby, he wants to make sure it's there. And then he gets a call, the client, and he gets a call, and he gets up, and the call is your favorite character, Moff Gideon, is calling him. Suddenly there's this big firefight, and it's kind of weird how it started.
So what happened is he got the call,
right?
And Moff Gideon asks him, do you have the package?
Right.
And he says, yes, it's over there, it's sleeping. And he says, check again. And he waves his hand. And that's when the cantina gets blown through by a firing squad of death troopers.
Yes, death troopers.
It wasn't so much that there was a shootout or a firefight. He was executed
by his own,
by Moff Gideon,
who he's working for. What a scumbag, right?
As well.
Oh yeah, they want to get rid of everybody except for the kid.
Right.
Yeah, the child. What a scumbag you are, Moff Gideon. You are terrible. You're evil. So, so because that happens, Quill has a comm link.
Right.
And they're calling him, telling him, hurry, get the kid back to the ship.
And unfortunately, they didn't call on a secured line.
They did not. It's not a secured comm.
Biker scouts picked it up.
Right.
And honed in on Quill's position.
They did.
And started pursuing him.
So they jump on the biker scouts and head off towards them.
Speeder bikes are much faster than blurgs.
They are much faster than blurgs. So they're stuck. They're pinned down. They don't know what they're going to do. Then you go back to the speeder bikes, and they're getting closer to Quill and the baby.
While Quill's getting closer to the Razor Crest.
Yeah, he's almost there to the Razor Crest. All he has to do is get to the Razor Crest, and then maybe he could close it and be protected. And he's got, of course, IG-11 there too.
Right.
So what happens is you go back to them again, still pinned down, and then you go back to and you see the bad news. I was so upset when I saw this, Bobby, but you see Quill dead on the ground. They shot him.
And while that sequence is happening, Moff Gideon lands in the middle of town in a TIE fighter. So the wings... It looks like a standard TIE LN fighter. The wings come down and they fold in half next to the side of the fighter.
Is that standard or is that something new?
That is something new. Now, I don't know if that's something that's standard in all TIE LNs, because usually when you see TIE LNs landed, they're either up on a rack in a hangar, or they're sitting on the wings as normal. So that, as far as seeing that in Star Wars, that's a whole new thing. Now,
so we saw something new. We saw the way the ship folded its wings, like Bobby said. I thought that was something different because they kind of exaggerated seeing it happen so that we could see it happen.
We got to see it really slowly, and a little bit of landing gear pop out and it land. The pod opened up and Moff Gideon came out. And
he comes out and
started speaking.
He comes out and he starts speaking to the Mandalorian. He tells the Mandalorian, "You have no idea what you have,
but soon I'll have what I came for."
I'll have what I came for.
And then right after that sequence, that's when we see Quill.
We see exactly. You see Quill dead with some smoke, and that really bummed me out. I love that character. Why do you have to kill that character, guys? That sucks. But you know what? Someone's got to die, right? That's right. And then you see a biker scout on a speeder. He scooped up the baby. So now they have the baby. Thanks, guys.
They have the child.
So they got what they wanted. So and then
it ends right there.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to them pinned down, and then it ends, right?
Yep. Ends right there.
That's it. So
next Friday.
Guess what? We're getting 2 of them this week. So this coming Friday. We don't know
for sure.
Okay.
I'm not.
Forget what I said.
Apparently, we're not going to get it until next week.
Okay. So forget what I said.
Suppose the fact that we were going to get it also on Friday, episode 8, was a rumor, and they just pulled back. 7
you know what? They should. I don't think if we don't get one because the Rise of Skywalker's coming out, that's fine. Because we got that to deal with this weekend.
We don't need all of this to be over.
It's too much. It's too much, and we got to deal with the Rise of Skywalker, and
which we're very excited.
From what I've heard, and this isn't spoilers because I don't want to give any spoilers away. The Rise of Skywalker is one of the best, most epic Star Wars movies ever. I hear it's loaded with a lot of stuff, so much it's hard to process, but who cares? That just means we have to see it more, right? Who cares?
Right, and that's, at the end of the day, all I want to see is more Star Wars.
Me too, and I just want to say, get off the internet, Mike Zero. You've just been zeroed by me. Nobody likes what you're doing, and you're very divisive. Divisive in the Star Wars community. We don't respect you. You need to stop doing what you're doing. Everybody needs to stop watching Mike Zero because, well, you don't need to know who he is because all he does is do stuff for clickbait. That's not what we're doing here. We're part of the Star Wars community. Anyway, so that's it for this review of episode 7, The Reckoning. It was wonderful for Bobby joining me this week. It was great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me here.
It was wonderful. Thank you for coming, brother.
Absolutely.
Great crossover event. As always, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe, leave your comments, tell us what you like or didn't like about the video, but do subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time we upload a new video. We got a lot of live events coming this week, and also, you know, in the next year, we're going to be live every week. We're going to be live at Galaxy's Edge doing a live podcast. So, thank you guys for now. I'm Eric Walker for All for Sci-Fi, and here is
Bobby Robertson with Order 66 Toys live show.
Yep. Every Friday night, watch Order 66 live show. It's the greatest thing out there.
It's on Facebook Live.
You're on Facebook Live. You'll enjoy it. I'm Eric Walker. Thank you guys. May the Force be with you. And like they say at Black Spire Outpost, I can't speak now. I can't speak, but till the spires. Take care. Bye. God bless.